Aaron Day, welcome to Business Insider.
Thank you, Mark. Good to be here.
Well, we'll see what you think at the end of the interview.
Yeah, fair enough.
We're going to cover a whole heap of things.
Great.
But first of all, what do you do in the third gear?
Okay, the third gear specialises in small, medium enterprise management consulting.
Okay. Keep going on.
We call ourselves business engineers.
Okay.
Because our approach is fairly unique it's completely unique as far as we know in the industry. And yeah, we build systems for business.
Okay, let's talk about that. Pick a client, any client, and talk us through what you do.
Okay. Typically, it doesn't matter what business you're in. The business is ultimately it's a vehicle for the stakeholders of the business, so the people who own it. They're looking for some kind of an outcome from that. You know, it's you don't put up with all of the drama and the pain of running a small medium business to not get some reward from it. So ultimately, we help them define what that reward needs to look like, and that's a really big question to answer. But once we've answered that question, then it's simply a matter of reverse engineering the business to suit. And business is scientific. The funny thing is we find consistently, no matter...
Excuse me, no, mine is a unique
Yeah,
business, okay?
exactly, yeah.
No one's business is like mine.
And look, I'll concede that, yes, the micro issues have their own unique little characteristics, but fundamentally, business is business. It is a science, it is scientific. You've got to...
And is that what you do? You take the emotion out of it, do you think?
We work with the emotion. I just don't believe businesses. It's passion, you know. A good business should be a passionate business, and particularly small and medium businesses. Most of them are family businesses, and talk about passion. You know, the drama and the interplay. It's like trying to apply science in a Shakespearean atmosphere. You know, it can be really interesting at times.
Mm. So, you had a transition or a re-evaluation 3 years ago. What were you before that, and what happened in that re-evaluation period?
I started out in this industry about 14 years ago as a business coach, and I bought myself a license with a large organisation, and did quite well. I actually became their #1 coach.
And you're not a coach now?
I don't call myself a coach anymore. The coaching approach, I find a typical coaching approach in the broader market tends to be turn up, spend an hour talking about life, give the client some homework and disappear hoping they do well over the next week or two, and come back and tell them whether they've been good or bad, and come up with a few good ideas when you can. That approach doesn't...
It's not scientific, is it?
Not really.
No.
No. So, and look, the organisation I was with, they had some reasonably good systematic approaches, but there were some big gaps. Mm. And over time, I became a little bit more frustrated with... We were getting good results, we were getting some excellent results, but I think one of the big differences between business engineering and business coaching is that when we finish a project, the benefits stay. And when with a lot of business, I notice when the coach leaves, so do most of the benefits that the client's receiving. So I think that's probably the core difference in what we're doing differently.
So that saw you, that background, and that, when did you leave the coaching group?
About 6 years ago.
All right. So you 3 years?
I continued on with the coaching mindset initially, and I knew there were gaps. I hadn't really solidified in my thinking exactly what they were and how they needed to be targeted. And it was probably about 18 months into going out on my own where I started to understand the science and what needed to be developed. And then the development pathway started, and that's been a very interesting process.
And did you realised you had to change. Now we're talking 2008, 2009. And you
Interesting times.
A couple of things changed.
Yeah.
As well as your business, as well as most businesses that are still surviving today. Was that a productive year? Did you find it a stimulating year that you spent re-engineering a re-engineering group?
It was, yeah. Look, it was hard work. It was exciting. In fact, the last 3 years have been really quite intense. Very big days, but really rewarding. The vision I had, I was confident it was going to work, but to take the leap and invest the time and invest the money that needed to be invested to create what I was setting out to create, it was a passion thing. I believed in it.
What would you have done if you knew now, or you knew then what you know now? Would you have done it?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It's a totally different world.
What surprised you about that process, about the business and about you?
What surprised me was actually the results of what I had in my mind when it actually appeared and became real and physical, and I was taking it out into the field, and clients were appreciating it. And then I think the sweetest moment was when I've been a one-man show for years, but as business started to grow, I needed help, and so I put on staff. And the fantastic thing was, I used my own system, and I felt the feeling. It works, It was great, and I understood what the clients.
Test.
Yeah, because I knew in theory it should be working, and clients were seeming to appreciate it, but to experience that myself as a user was probably the most rewarding moment.
Excellent. So, how many staff do you have now?
We're changing the model. I realised that we've got 2 full-timers at the moment. We did have 3, but I'm changing the model because I need to demonstrate. One of the challenges we've had is, how do I replicate this? This has got to be bigger than me. And part of building the system was not just building a system for our clients, but it was also building a system that would allow me to duplicate myself and expand the model and allow other people to use it. And so one of the things I realised was I can't be running around with an assistant doing all of my hard work.
That you love?
Yeah, and I do. Well, the hard work was just the typing. I had someone who had really quick fingers. So, I've realised that if I'm going to be licensing this, then I should be a reflection of the people that are going to be licensees, essentially. And so I'm back solo, and I'm testing the system even further. And what it's doing is it's actually helping me improve the system, not just from the client's perspective, but from a licensee perspective. So I can make it easier for a single person to use, and that's been working quite well.
Yeah. This is so much like me interviewing myself. I feel like
should have just got you a mirror.
We go through these same things. Next 12 months, what does that look like for the third year?
Next 12 months on the business front is focusing on the licensing model, being able to. At the moment, I'm very close to full capacity as an individual, so I need to do something about that. So we'll be focusing on.
So is it now you're into licensing and franchising and a really tough line, or blurred lines, thanks to the government,
yeah,
or dumb franchisors who have created this environment. So how are you negotiating that or navigating that? In terms of, you mentioned you are not a franchise, you are a license.
Yeah. We're not that strict about the system is that solid that if you have access to the system, it's going to work for you. We're not putting rules out about how you're going to market yourself, or the amount of. I've never had so much word of mouth referral business. It's what we do works. Clients are talking about it. They're talking to their friends about it. It's something that I think for potential licensees, it's not going to be a difficult thing to take on and grow and expand. I think it's going to be a fairly organic thing.
So why will people come to the third gear rather than, well, they'll recognise that Action has got its opportunities for some people, but they'd much rather invest in the third gear. Here's an opportunity to make that sales pitch. What do they get?
Just a much better system.
Right.
The results you can... I just look at... Well, there's two things. It needs to be easy for the licensee to work with. So there's a third gear academy, there's a complete third gear system, we've got diagnostic tools, we've got management software systems.
Who's going to come in? Who's your ideal licensee, do you think?
I think somebody who's had some small business experience, or definitely had some sort of level of management experience, a good understanding of business, and someone who who gets a kick out of making a difference, who gets a kick out of helping people. They need to be, reasonably intelligent, well presented.
And that pool of potential franchisees, because I think there is the opportunity for them to come out and say, yes, I should be doing this rather than working in a corporate environment.
Oh, look, I think there would be a huge number of... The lifestyle, you have options with this kind of a business.
I'm smiling because I'm trying to tell my wife I have options. She thinks I only work 18 hours a day because I love...
That's the hard thing. You asked me earlier what's going to change over the next 12 months. One of the promises I've made to myself is I'm going to make myself have some quality vacation time. I haven't had a holiday in 2.5 years, and the hours are typically 10 hours minimum. But I enjoy what I do. But I find if I take the time, get some quality refreshment time, and not just hang around the house for a week, but get away, take the family away, and go and do something in a different environment.
Yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
And I come back and I've got more to give. So that's important. That's another thing.
Excellent. Well, let's talk about more to give. In 5 years' time, is there legacy here? There's passion, but do you see a legacy position?
Oh yeah, what we've designed is definitely making a difference in the marketplace. The fact that we can walk out of a project and the results stay, there's a legacy on its own. I think another legacy that potentially will be left will be a better impression from the marketplace of small, medium management consultants. Okay. I hope.
I'm sure. In some of your spare time, we might get you to work with the Business Enterprise Centre, with which I have some involvement. But we usually give people an opportunity to have a rant.
A rant
about how you'd like to see business or the environment change, the business environment change. What's your rant?
Oh, look, I would like to see. I'd like to see it easier for employers to manage the performance of their staff. One of the key things we spend time on, and our system does that very well, but legislation these days, it's putting a lot of people off.
In every sense of the word.
Yeah, and it's exactly, and it's unfortunate. This country should be growing, and we've got restrictive laws and legislations that really don't give small business a fair go, and I think that's something that if that changed, I think a lot more people would be prepared to employ. I've got several clients now who would like to put more staff on, but you get a bunch of business owners together, and what's the first? They all start talking about staff.
Yeah, and labour costs. And, and why can't they be contractors? And
other than that, a little bit more creative thinking. A bit more preparedness to innovate and think outside the box. Anyone who knows me well or has known me at any point in my life knows that I'm not one to kind of go with the crowd. I'm prepared to think outside that, and that's how I'm in this position. That's how I've managed to create something that's different. I'm a big fan of leverage as well. I think leverage is my favourite word. If you're in business, you want to be looking for leverage, and systems really are the way to do that.
It leads me into every now and again we ask our interviewees for a tip for business. your business is giving businesses tips, but is there something that stands out above everything else that you say, look, if you just clearly take this one point away from this interview, and if businesses do this, this is what they should do or look at, what would that tip be?
Keep attacking your bottlenecks.
Right.
So identify the bottlenecks in your business, attack the most immediate one, and then move on to the next. That's the way to keep the continuous growth.
With focus and passion, obviously.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, I just gave my segue into the next one. Where's your passion come from?
I love business. I really enjoy. I like business people. I like what you need. You need to be a certain kind of person to be a successful business person. It takes a certain strength of character and.
Is there one value above everything else to be a good business person,
Ambition, I think, is probably the most essential. Well, I think it's passion, really. I think you can be ambitious, but if you're not passionate about what you're doing, you're just going to be mediocre. And there's plenty of mediocre businesses out there that do really well. But if you really want to be, seriously successful, then it's the combination of the two, passion and ambition. So you've got to be in a space that you're passionate about,
The theory is on the Central Coast, and I embrace it, that we have got more business consultants, coaches, advisors, mentors on the Central Coast per head of population.
Yeah.
Not population.
Yes.
Than anywhere else in Australia. And arguably, we are suffering with pathetic levels of business growth and success, employment, both natural and youth focused. We are undereducated, 60% below the state average. Then what the bloody hell are you business coaches and mentors and advisors doing?
Have you been on the F3 lately?
They're all leaving.
We're not leaving. I am constantly looking for opportunities to help Central Coast-based businesses. But if they don't want it, I'm not going to force them. The reality is, it's a great place to live, and it is a good place to do business. So I live on the Central Coast because that's where I want to raise my family. And I'd love to do more business here. I wish there was a little bit more drive and passion and that desire to grow, because I wouldn't have to travel so far. Look, we do have clients on the coast, but we service Sydney and Newcastle as well.
Why don't you think that? And I'm interviewing myself here.
Yeah.
Why don't we have more success at converting prospects to clients here on the coast?
If they're not, you can't make people hungry. The coast, I think I know it's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle destination. It's a place where you want to enjoy the beaches. You want to enjoy the bush. It's just a terrific place to live. And I think maybe look, I do know there are some quite driven, focused businesses here, and I've worked with a few of them, but I know that they're not all that way inclined. So I just think the simple reality is that it's the nature of the coast.
Here's an offer. Big Paddle. We'd have to go with my name because it's better than the third year. Should we? I'm not looking for a response. Should we, as business advisors, form a cluster to say, well, how can we do more? I talk to people in this chair and say, you should be forming a business cluster. Now I'm talking to you about your chosen space and saying we should form a business cluster and do more for businesses. Is that a possibility?
Look, I think there's an awareness thing and there's a trust thing as well.
Well, they trust me. I'm not sure about you.
Yeah, of course. Please help me, Mark. Look, I think anything we can do to get credible business consultants, advisors, whatever you want to call them, together in a forum in a way where they can add value and demonstrate that they're actually able to help and make a difference, I think is going to be a good thing. Yeah, open to that.
You talked about passion in your business, and we see it in, I guess, the technicians, the tradies, the the origins of business here on the coast. They had to start with passion, but then it seems to get beaten out of them, or they lose it because it doesn't get translated to the marketplace. Have you got a thought on why that?
Oh, I have thoughts. I think there's a whole lot of reasons behind it. Business can be tiring, and it can be. Initially, what you do when you start out is you're focused on the thing that excites you and makes you happy. Then the business grows and you have bigger responsibilities, things get more complicated. So it's easy to get tired, which is why it's so important to have good quality systems. If you can turn your business into a systemised entity, that frees you back up to do the things that you're actually passionate about. The other side to the answer to that is understanding yourself. Clear. It's hard to be objective about yourself. It's very hard to take an outsider's perspective on yourself. So it always helps to get somebody external for that. But the other thing is understanding your target market and understanding their values against your values and being able to create something that talks to that. And that's good marketing. So understanding marketing. I don't think there are many businesses that really understand marketing.
See, I'd even push it further. I don't think there's many businesses that understand business.
Oh, yeah.
And the issue is, without systems, you will always be a one-person band. And when you retire, the business shuts. With process and systems and a platform of support, which invariably means you've got to friggin' pay someone, that recognition of the investment is tough to get through here on the Central Coast.
Yeah. Well, maybe that gets back to the point earlier. You know, the education figures for the Central Coast. We're one of the most undereducated, high populous areas in the country. Maybe that's part of maybe the education system's got something to answer for there. I mean, how much business education do we get in high school? And not many people walk out of high school with a really good understanding of what a business is and how it functions, or even the science of business.
Yeah. We'll leave it there. Otherwise, I'll go on interviewing myself and I'll have to stop.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Aaron.